Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of my favorite ARM-based handhelds of 2022. Now I've done a video checking out my favorite x86 based handhelds, but I had a lot of people asking about these, so I figured I'd go ahead and make a video. Now it's no secret that we had a ton of ARM-based handhelds release in 2022, but in this video I've got about 7 of them that we're going to be taking a look at, and by the end you'll get a feel for my top 2 favorite at least. Now this is only going to consist of handhelds that we've taken a look at on the channel in 2022, and again these are ARM based, so we're not going with the Steam Deck. I've already done an x86 video. If you want to check that out, link is in the description. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. The Retroflag G-Pi Case 2. Now I've always been a big fan of these Raspberry Pi powered handhelds, especially the CM4 powered handhelds. And I'll tell you what, this would have come in much higher on the list, but with the relatively scarce availability of the CM4 and the Raspberry Pi in general, it's made it really hard for a lot of people to put these together. And it's definitely not Retroflag's fault. This was well under development before we knew we'd have issues getting our hands on Raspberry Pis and CM4s. So really, when it comes down to it, I just think it was bad timing for the G-Pi Case 2. Now this is a great device if you've already got a CM4 ready to be used for a project, but it's kind of hit or miss if you're going to try to pick one of these up and then later on get a CM4, especially the way everything is right now. But the G-Pi Case 2 definitely had some welcome upgrades when you compare it to the original G-Pi case. Next on the list, we've got the RG503, and in 2022 we saw a lot of arcade 3566 powered handheld devices, and they really kind of perform the same across the board, so these devices really needed standout features to kind of set them above the rest. And when it comes to the RG503, this actually utilizes a beautiful OLED display coming in at 4.95 inches, one of the best displays on these handheld devices that we've seen in a long time, but it was held back by software. And of course, since this is coming to us from Anbernic, we did have that awesome D-pad. This is the design that they've been using in all of their handhelds, and in my opinion, it is one of the best D-pads you can get on these ARM-based devices. Now, out of the box, this does not run Android. You run a Linux operating system, and I'd say if they would have added 3 to 4 gigabytes of RAM and included an Android operating system option here, this would have done much better, especially as a great streaming device, given the screen quality here. I mean, this thing does look absolutely amazing. Next up, we've got the RG353V. This has been my favorite vertical handheld of 2022. Love the performance here. It's using that same arcade 3566 chip, and like I mentioned, we saw several of them released. It's got the good old Anbernic D-pad, a great 3.5-inch IPS touch display at 640 by 480, and this did run Android and Linux, plus we've got AC Wi-Fi built in. Now with this, swapping between Android and Linux was actually pretty simple to do, and when it comes to like N64, I've gotten much better performance in Android over Linux, so I did a lot of swapping back and forth. It's got great battery life, coming in with a 3200 milliamp hour battery, and overall, if you're into these vertical handhelds, this is definitely one to do a little bit of research on and check out, because in my opinion, this was one of the best DMG style handhelds that was released in 2022. Moving over to the Logitech G Cloud, straight off the bat, it is overpriced for what we're getting here. These are priced at $350, they're usually on sale for $299, and even at that $300 price tag, it is overpriced. The main claim to fame here was kind of a streaming device, and it does offer really great battery life, and if they would have come out the gate at $199 with this right out of the door, this would have been the one that everybody wanted to get their hands on, and this would probably be at number 1 on my list, but unfortunately it's not priced at $200. Retail is $350, and we've got that Snapdragon 720G, 4 gigs of RAM, a beautiful 7-inch 1920 by 1080 IPS display that looks better than a lot of the displays on the market right now for any handhelds, be it ARM or x86. And overall, I've actually really enjoyed this device, especially the ergonomics. It does feel really great in the hand. I can play this for hours without getting cramps or anything like that. Awesome battery life. Again, I have to mention the screen because it does look really good. It does offer really great emulation for a little Android device like this, but we can't deny that, yeah, $350 is just way too much for what we have here. And I really do hope that Logitech does make another one with a little more power, but teams up with a company that can kind of subsidize the price, because the big reason that Valve can sell you the Steam Deck up front for so cheap is because you're going to buy games on their platform and they're going to make money from each game you buy. Logitech has nothing else to sell you except for the hardware, so if they did team up with a company, let's say Microsoft or even Tencent, then they could bring the hardware cost down because they know they can sell you software later on. Right now, the way it is, Logitech has nothing else to sell you except for the handheld, and that's why it's priced so high out of the gate. There's no doubt that Anbernic does put out a lot of handheld devices every single year, and one that really surprised me was the RG353M. Now this is the metal version. I personally love the form factor here. This fits right in my pocket. And this is the handheld that I've been carrying around with me everywhere I go. Now it's not the most powerful, it's still using that arcade 3566, so we're not going to be able to do GameCube, but it does handle PS1, SNES, Neo Geo, PC Engine, N64, but the main thing that I've been playing on this is GBA. I really do feel like this is a great replacement for a GBA in 2022, given the form factor and the build quality. It's made of aluminum and it feels premium. I've just been having a great time with this, and I've been getting some really amazing battery life out of it. It's coming in with a 3500 milliamp hour battery, and personally, I've been getting around 6 hours before I have to charge this thing up. Now it's time to take a look at my top 2 favorite ARM-based handhelds of 2022, and coming in at number 2 is the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. So this is a relatively new one to the market, and of course we did have the Retroid Pocket 3, which was a great addition to their line of handhelds. But a couple months later, they hit us with this, the 3 Plus, and I know a lot of people weren't that happy because they come out so quickly, but that's how these handhelds work. I mean, we had a ton released this year. But the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus is coming in at around $150. We've got that Unisoc Tiger T618 CPU, which is a big upgrade from the original Retroid Pocket 3. We've also got 4 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of internal storage, plus micro SD card support and AC Wi-Fi. And you pair all of that up with a 4.7-inch IPS display, and this makes a great little handheld when it comes to native Android gaming, emulation, and especially streaming. I've actually been able to stream from my own PC using Steam Link or even Moonlight at up to 120 FPS with no lag whatsoever, and the games do look great on this 4.7-inch display. It's got a much thinner form factor than some of the other handhelds on this list, and overall, with the way the market is right now, and this coming in at $150, I think this is a great choice for somebody who knows what they're getting into. This isn't going to run every single GameCube and Wii game or PS2, but there are playable GameCube, Wii, and PS2 games that you can run on this device. And that's why this one is coming in so high on my list. So yeah, we've actually had some really awesome handhelds released in 2022, but there is one that, stands above the rest, at least in my opinion, and that's going to be the Odin Pro. This is coming in at my number 1 spot. And it really comes down to everything on this device, the form factor, software, and performance. It's powered by the Snapdragon 845, making it one of the most powerful ARM-based handhelds on the market right now, if not the most powerful, when it comes to a dedicated handheld like this. Of course, it did take them a little while to get it to market, but a lot of people who did, buy it on Indiegogo have gotten their hands on it already. We've got 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of internal storage, plus micro SD card support, a 6600 milliamp hour battery, close to a 6-inch 1080p IPS display, Wi-Fi 5, Bluetooth 5.0, and it's running Android 10. When it comes to emulation, we've got GameCube, PS2, N64. We can also use this quite effectively for cloud gaming and game streaming, plus it's got native Android gaming pegged with that Snapdragon 845. Overall, definitely a great device, and I really can't wait to see if they do an upgrade to this with something like the Snapdragon 888. I think that would be an absolutely amazing handheld. And they also offer a light version with the Dimensity CPU. Personally, I haven't tested it. I didn't even try to pick one up because I already had the Pro version with that 845. And yeah, it does perform amazingly for an Android-based dedicated handheld system. So yeah, the Odin Pro is number 1 on my list for 2022, and I can't wait to see what we get in 2023 from all of these awesome manufacturers. Now, one thing I'd like to know in the comments is, what do you want to see from these handhelds in the future? Of course, we want to see more powerful CPUs, but I'd also like to see better displays. Be it OLED in a 6-inch form factor like this, maybe a Super AMOLED display, and especially Wi-Fi 6. I think that's going to be really important in 2023. So yeah, if there's any other additions you want to see on these handhelds, let us know what they are in the comments below. And I'd also like to know what your favorite ARM-powered handheld of 2022 is. Everybody's got their own use case scenarios when it comes to these things and opinions, but it'd be really cool to know what everybody's using. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you're interested in learning about any of the handhelds you saw in this video, I'll leave some links in the description. But like always, thanks for watching.